Welcome to 40 Cray, the podcast by a couple of 30-something dudes whose adult lives and responsibilities have not yet eclipsed their zeal. Stupid nerdy shit. From Warhammer to video games to tabletop role-playing games to H. John Benjamin shows, if it's your fandom or your tandem. As always, joined by my co-host Ben Ella Steven. How you doing?
H. John Benjamin is a good call out, Tom. That's actually
Right?
I don't think there's a podcast in that niche yet, so maybe we should jump on that.
He's one of my favorites.
What's your favorite H. John Benjamin show?
I'm partial to home movies.
I like home movies. I actually really like Bob's Burgers. It's like, I don't think it's the best one, but it's the easiest to watch.
Yeah. And of course, Archer. Everyone loves Archer.
Dr. Katz.
Dr. Katz, professional therapist.
Hey, there's somebody else here, Tom.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you may have noticed a third person in our chat.
Hello, it's me,
and now
Stardust Meteor.
If you're listening, you recognize the voice. We are joined by Gabrielle. How you doing?
I never get to be a guest. I always am like, the weird objective observer of like trivia, delivering trivia and, being the noob. So glad I get to be like yeah. So now I'm happy I get to have like a little piece of reality that I might somewhat be an expert in. Is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great segue to the topic of tonight's show. Battletech. That's right. In the wake of the Warhammer. No, I'm kidding. Nobody cares about Battletech. Sorry. It's Mech Warrior was a fun game. Gabrielle, let me explain. A lot of people are mad at Warhammer for reasons we've talked about, and they're going to try to find other little fun things in the future that are somewhat grimdark. Maybe. Anyway, Battletech, giant robots people fight in. Fun concept. Not grimdark enough in my book. But we're not going to give any time to that because today, that's right. Was that to me or to Battletech?
To Battletech.
Oh, I wouldn't flick them off. They're fine. Now one of our two fans is going to be bad. We're talking about 90s kids TV, guys.
They're not even going to listen to this episode. Like, oh, no Warhammer? Fuck
yeah, off. No Warhammer? No. 90s kids TV. Tom, you and I were talking about it. Gab, you and I were talking about it. It is a nostalgia dream.
Yeah.
You guys grew up in the 90s, right? How was that?
It was wild.
The fever dream.
Wild and crazy.
Is that a hint at something that might be on your list?
No, but it should have been.
So if you're listening and you weren't a kid between the age of, I don't know, like 2 and 12 in the 90s, you missed out on a lot of things. You missed out on neon pink, orange, and blue and green colors on every advertisement. You missed out on the word extreme in like really inappropriate places, radical, shameless attempts to appeal to kids. And you missed out on some goddamn great television.
Oh, yeah.
And Lisa Frank sticker packages.
With
like hundreds of stickers.
Trapper Keepers.
Why were Trapper Keepers not allowed in school? Why?
I had them in school.
You weren't allowed to have Trapper Keepers?
Okay, well now you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. There's a very strict rule everywhere I went, like no Trapper Keepers, like it was demon, like it was Harry Potter book. I don't know.
Maybe it was a Maryland thing.
Huh.
Because we did spend the 90s in different places. I mean, Gabrielle, you were in Maryland the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, you were in Long Island, I believe, New York.
Yeah.
And I was in Pensacola, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, and the Washington, D.C. area for different parts of it.
Well, you know what? I'll Google it. It can be like an appendix item if anything comes up.
Appendix. I also had my appendix out in the 90s.
That too.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I don't know why that came to mind. Probably because I'm drinking. And let's go. What's everybody drinking tonight? I've got just a Stella. Just like a nice, refreshing beer. Tom, what's in your glass?
So this, that's very bright. It's a white can, so it's probably difficult to see.
You have to do like the influencer thing where you like put it and you put like your hand behind it so that it, adjusts.
Oh wait, it kind of works. That actually kind of works.
Okay, hold on. Back East Brewing, double scoop. So there's an interesting story about this. When ever since I moved up here, there's this like beer, wine, liquor store that's in between my home and work that I stop at. They have a good selection, and there's always been this one rack, like in the beer cooler. There's one like lone space that has a little handwritten tag under the price tag that says limit one per customer. It's the only one in the whole store, and it's always been sold out every time I've gone, except for today. And that's what this is. So I finally picked up the elusive beer that needs to be limited.
Wow, so it's like
good.
a leprechaun.
Yeah, no, it's not very great.
So I feel like you had mentioned like you were excited about this in another episode, like to try to get one day. I wonder if the limit one per customer is to like reverse psychology you to be like, oh, this is scarce, I should get this, and then it's not that good.
Probably not going to be buying it again.
Are you sure it's the same one every day, or they just pick like they just found beer that fell off a truck and they're like, we're gonna put this one in the limit one?
It does have the little name price tag thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
So I knew it had something to do with ice cream, but yeah, no. So I can't recommend it if you're in the Connecticut area.
Don't drink Back East double scoop. What is it, like vanilla, chocolate, what?
So it's supposed, well, they use citra hops. It's supposed to be reminiscent of like a creamsicle.
Oh.
But I'm just getting a very metallic, just kind of weird. I don't know.
There's a really long inside joke about creamsicles. I'm not going to get you on this episode about our D&D campaign, but anyway, Gab, what's in your cup?
Gosh, I'm super boring today. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. So first, I popped 2 ibuprofen, and then I feel like alcohol and ibuprofen negate each other. So I'm here with a reduced sugar lemonade, which is maybe the lamest thing I could have brought to this show.
You're off the show.
Other than like water, maybe.
You will not be asked back.
Actually, I did drink tap water on an episode, so that is true. Okay. Touche, salesman. So each of us came with our top 5 favorite 90s kids shows. So to be clear, they're 90s kids shows. Otherwise, like X-Files and Buffy and shit would be on there.
Yeah.
Gabrielle, you're looking off to the side, so I'm hoping that you did 90s kids shows. If you did 90s adult shows, just use them. It's fine. Did you do all 90s shows?
Everything's, I don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes I like to look around, Ben.
I like that your eye just went this. That's okay. We're very professional here. So here's what we're going to do. I know Tom and you and I, and actually Gabrielle too, were talking. It was hard to narrow it down. There's going to be a lot of honorable mentions in this nostalgia fest, but I'm going to suggest let's go through our top 5, and maybe we'll take a break before we get to number 1 for the honorable mentions.
So I figured if there was one on my list that either of you had said, then I would skip it.
That's a smart idea. And then add one from your list.
Maybe put in my 2 cents and then move on to the next one.
I actually would be shocked if that doesn't happen based on knowing some of your taste and knowing some of Gabrielle's taste.
Right.
Who wants to go first? Not Gab, because Gab's going to go redo her list. Tom, why don't I go first? I feel like I always make you go first.
Okay.
Because I'm always like kind of like stalling at the last minute, but this time I actually have a good list.
Yeah.
Number 5. So let me talk a little bit about my methodology too. Maybe we could do that for a sec. I picked shows. There's a lot of good stuff from the 90s. I picked shows that when I think about them now as a 35-year-old man, I get excited.
Yeah.
and I remember like really good times, or that I really looked forward to that show. So there were probably some of the 90s that were just objectively better, but these for me, my top 5 are the ones that like really I still remember, like, oh yeah, I would watch that if it was on TV. Like Tom, what was your, is that similar to how you picked, or what criteria were you using?
So I tried to, well, first I would put a list of everything that I liked from the 90s. And then I tried to narrow down the different genres of show, I guess. So I had like a variety, like the best one from each category. It didn't really work out so well that way, but yeah, and I tried to be as varied as possible.
I think that's a smart way to do it. You have a little more procedure in it than I did. Gabrielle, pretending that you did the right thing, how would you have chosen your kids' shows from the 90s?
Well, in the 90s, I was, even though technically I was 15, like when we got into the 2000s, I was bordering on sentience the entire time. Like I just didn't, I barely have memories of some things. I just liked the idea, or I liked the jingle, or the combination of neon colors. So tried to go with things that I could actually remember specific facts about in specific episodes. Because there's a lot of things where if I went back now, I'm just like, this is all, I don't know. My brain checked out. I went to another universe. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
So we have the Ben way, which is kind of arbitrary, the Tom way, which is a little more process oriented, and then the Gabrielle way, which just sounds like an explosion of colors.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Seriously though, do you guys remember those neon colors? Is it just me? Like every time I see neon pink and green, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, it just makes me think of that dark show we went to with the Uso brothers.
That's right, yeah.
When they were wearing like orange and neon green, and you just heckled from the audience shouting, "You look like a '90s commercial."
And didn't they respond or something?
Somebody did.
That was the same one where we got Big Show to break character for a second.
Yeah. It was fun.
We like heckling wrestlers. All right, my number 5, just based on just good feelings. I watched this a lot. I still remember the theme song. Mm-hmm. Wishbone.
Good one.
What's the story, Wishbone? That's all I can say before YouTube scraps this. Dude, that dog is definitely dead.
We're demonetized.
Okay. And we never were monetized. The dog is definitely dead.
Yeah. Well.
Some of it was super awkward. But to this day, there are some books that I only know the Wishbone version. I've never read Ivanhoe, as an example. Don't know anything about it except the Wishbone version. It was a cute fucking dog. It's a great way to trick kids into watching stuff.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm pretty sure that all of my, literature knowledge was gained from Wishbone. And also my favorite part of the end of the episode, they'd have like a little TV trick or something. And I remember once they talked about like the Foley artist. And basically it's just like they had to do the sound of Wishbone's feet, like on different floors. And as a woman with just long acrylic nails would just sit there and like tap her little nails on different like areas. And that was her goddamn job. Like, I don't know why I didn't think that I could do that, but it's a mistake.
And that's a union job.
Full benefits.
If anyone else taps their nails on the table, they'll be held to pay.
Do you guys remember your favorite like Wishbone episode?
No.
Okay.
You know what the worst part is I don't know what story this was. I think it was the end of the Odyssey, where Wishbone comes home and his wife is like, all these dudes moved in because they're trying to win her favor, and he has to prove that it's him and Odysseus. And the only person in order to prove he's Odysseus, he had to like shoot an arrow through like a whole bunch of like statue little hole things. And of course, Wishbone very convincingly like holds like a little arrow and shoots it through. Yeah. So
I was actually going to say that same episode because in 9th grade, I think my English teacher either was hungover or gave up one day. She just said, "Hey, watch this. It's about the Odyssey." And it was that episode. So
All right. Well, I'm glad I got the name right then.
it was
So
the
I did
Odyssey,
learn
yeah.
something.
All right, that's my number 5, Wishbone, who's definitely dead. All right, Tom, what's your number
It's
5?
just that enough.
I can't stress that enough. The dog is no more. He was probably dead in the early 2000s. Childhood is over. There is no innocence.
I don't think I have a particular order, so I'm going to go with Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Ooh.
Yep.
That fills out the game show genre of my list. I don't know. There was just something so fun about watching these kids hobble over a moat in like the most inept way possible. You're like, what are you doing?
What's wrong with you? Put the monkey together.
Oh, the silver monkey, forget about it. Could never get the head the right way, and it's not supposed to be looking at you. It's looking at the camera. Turn it around.
So Tom, weren't you the one who told me? Oh, by the way, so for people who don't know, what is this show?
So Legends of the Hidden Temple was a game show. I believe there was 8 teams of 2 kids, 2 pairs or 8 pairs of kids. The silver snakes, the red jaguars, the purple parrots, a whole bunch. And they would get eliminated through a series of events that ultimately led to the final pair remaining would go into the temple, and it was like was not an obstacle course kind of thing. Yeah, there you go. Olmec, the talking stone head sort of narrator, and Kirk Fogg, the host.
How do you remember the host's name?
I don't remember the host's name. Yeah, I remember Olmec.
And looking at that picture of Olmec's face, like I remember it was like a really badly paper mache mouth. Like you're like, what is that made out of?
Because you could see the creases.
Yeah.
when his mouth opened and his eyes glue. Yeah.
And then I love like today you can get all these shirts. Like that shows how much nostalgia there is for the show. Like you can buy the purple parrots, the green. Oh,
go silver snakes.
Silver snakes, orange iguanas. Anyway.
But yeah, then the final the last 2 kids, they had 3 minutes to go into the temple and find whatever random artifact was the theme of the item of the show. Like a find Ponce hat.
Yeah, there was like real history involved.
Yeah,
right?
and then the whole episode like would be centered around Ponce de Leon and the steps of knowledge. One of the rounds, they would ask you questions. Like it was just kind of like a reading comprehension thing. They would tell you a story and then ask you questions. You had to remember what you heard. But it was all like based around this one thing. So you go through the temple, making your way room by room. There's all kinds of obstacles and traps that you had to get through, and temple guards. If they grabbed you, you had to leave. That's right. Yeah. So you had in one of the things you earned pendants of life, and the pendant of life could be exchanged to the temple guard that caught you in order for you to continue. But then if you got caught again, then your partner had to go and pick up and start from scratch. And they had to make it all the way through the temple, find Ponce de Leon's hat, and then make it out in like 3 minutes. And then if you could do that, you went to space camp.
Oh, is that the space camp one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's where I got the.
Wait, were you telling me it was rigged?
So they definitely had a quota of how many kids could win, and they made it harder at some point. Because if you ran into all 3 temple guards, then you were just out. Like there was no way to do it. So if they made only one path to the item, and they made sure that all the guards were along that path, then there was no way for you to win. So But it was still fun to watch. We didn't know that as kids.
That was so. There's only the only thing that makes me feel like that today is Ninja Warrior. Every time I watch Ninja Warrior, I'm like, just let me on it. Just let me do it, please. I have to try this out. And like that's how I felt as a kid watching this show.
Yeah.
Although
exactly.
I feel like we couldn't actually do Ninja Warrior, but we actually probably could do Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Now, as adults.
As adults.
You're going to space camp, dude. This is a fun topic. I'm having a lot of nostalgia moments here.
Right. This is only my number 5.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. All right. That was a good one, Tom.
Yeah.
Did I interrupt you? You were about to say something else about how awesome Legends weren't you?
No, this I like no particular order. It's just the ones I'm going through.
Yeah, mine are a little bit in order. Gabrielle, are yours in order? Do you have a number 5?
I have a number 1, and then everything else is like kind of tied for number 2.
Okay, well then save the number 1 for last. What's your first one tied for number 2?
So I'm gonna go with Kablam next. And mostly because it was really great for kids with ADD that couldn't watch more than 5 minutes at a time. And some of them were misses. There were a couple in there was like, oh, this one's stupid. Let me go get an Oreo, But my favorite was the claymation where the alien teaches Bob.
Prometheus and Bob.
Thank you. And looking back at some of those videos, it was definitely it was good humor. It wasn't just childish. So yeah, for those who haven't seen it, it's kind of like a kid's version of Robot Chicken, except before 8-second attention spans became a thing. It's more like 5-minute attention spans. And the different shows included, and of course I don't remember any of the names, so this is going to be like playing a game. One was all those superheroes, like
Action League Now.
We talked about them in a previous episode, yeah.
I did enjoy Action League Now. I think there was a lot of really good second wave feminism involved in that show as well. And then
can you name all the Action League Now people?
Oh, there's Life with Loopy.
Life with Loopy.
Yeah, there's Loopy. But remember, it was The Flash.
There's the girl from Kablam being provocative.
Oh God, Google Images. What the hell? That's weird.
Oh Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Well.
All right. Well.
Don't Google Esurance, by the way. Apparently, the reason why they stopped doing the Esurance cartoons is because there was way too much internet fanfic on her, and they had to rebrand the whole thing. So don't do it.
All right. So anyway, the Action League Now, The Flash, super strong and super naked. Thunder Girl.
She flies like thunder.
Stinky Diver.
Oh, yeah.
And Melt Man.
With the power
he would melt every time.
Melt.
And don't you see the hands of people just trying to melt him and do things?
The magnifying glass.
Mentioned. Yeah.
And the mayor was hilarious.
Oh.
Wasn't there one where there was a dog that if it peed, a missile was going to come out or something?
I don't remember that.
Okay, well, anyway, so maybe that was Esurance. I don't know. So it was Prometheus and Bob, the Action League Now, Life with Loopy was pretty good. Kablam was in my honorable mentions, by the way. I loved that show. I had so much fun with it.
Yeah, I don't have anything super meaningful. It just really meshed with my ADD and my comprehension skills at that time.
Let's see, Sniz and Fondue. I don't know what that is. I don't remember that one. Apparently that was a regular. The Offbeats.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. I don't remember it though. And those are the main regular ones. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel bad, but I hated Life with Loopy. I don't know why, but every time she came on, in my mind, I was like, "You're stupid. I don't want to watch you. I don't care about your problems." And then wait for the next one.
All right, guys, we are on a roll. We had Kablam, we had Wishbone,
Was-
and we had Legends of
was
the Hidden
that-
Temple.
Was that on Snick?
I think it was originally, but then eventually it was on like more primetime hours.
Hmm.
Because I remember watching it at like 5 p.m. at some point. Let's see if it actually, I'm on the Wikipedia page because you can trust Wikipedia. I can't find it here, but I think you're right. I think originally it was Snick, much like a few other things which might appear. That's actually probably a good segue to my number 4. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
You son of a bitch.
Was that on your list too?
Yeah.
So this show scared. Let me rephrase that. The opening montage, like the
Yeah.
beginning of the show. If you haven't seen this, do yourself a favor and just go watch Are You Afraid of the Dark opening.
Yeah.
It's like a minute long. It is terrifying. The shows themselves, the scariest thing is how Canadian they are. A lot of people saying sorry, which is nothing against Canadians, but like when you watch it as an adult, you're like, wow, there is some hardcore Canuck action going on in this,
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, oh, look, it's a ghost, eh? Oh, what a hoser. Like, I don't remember Ontario being the central location of all of these. Anyway, really scary, but in a kid-friendly way, preceded Goosebumps and all those other scary shows. And one of the reasons I love this, as an adult, still really fun to watch.
Yeah. Amanda, I think she still has it on her laptop, the entire series. So, we could watch it at any given time, and it's still classic. It's not scary, but like you were talking about, that opening, just the atmosphere it creates, and just the so good.
What's funny is that I'd never, as a kid, actually watched an episode. I was convinced that if it's anything like the opening minute, then I was gonna die. So I would I would always be like, I'm gonna watch the opening just to prove that I can, and then I would switch to another channel.
Like if you had to pick between the opening and the movie from The Ring, which would you do?
Okay, well, as an adult, I think the Are You Afraid of the Dark opening is palatable. The only one I remember people saying, like, watching the dolls, the ventriloquist doll in the attic was where where they draw the line. For me, I think it was the swings. Just the one swing moving
Creepy.
really got me.
All right, I'm gonna put this on.
I actually really liked the video from The Ring. I think it was it was well done.
Just the video from The Ring, not the whole movie The Ring.
Oh yeah, the movie was awful, but the actual video that killed you.
All right, that's terrifying. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
And the music, oh man, just the mood.
Oh, that's scary.
The
That
boat,
is.
there's the swing,
I hate these shutters.
flapping
Yeah.
shutters.
Oh, somebody left a skateboard.
Here comes the clown. No, there's the
God, I
clown.
hate the clown. He's a hobo. I'm getting goosebumps. That is so well done.
Good music too. Also, that was definitely like 20 seconds. So.
Yeah, it's only 29 seconds. Phenomenal. And Tom, you remember that Halloween? It was recently. It was like 6 years ago. You, me, and your lovely wife Amanda. Maybe it was longer. Maybe 7 years. We just spent the whole day watching Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, they're still on her computer.
Yeah. All right. That was another Snick, aka so Snick was the Saturday night Nick. At late at night, it would get a little more adult.
Right.
That's my number 4. Tom, what's your number 4?
I'm gonna go with Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah.
Strong pick. Didn't even think about it, but it's a strong pick.
Because we're specifically going 90s. I've always been a STEM guy, so I watched Mr. Wizard in the 80s, and I think Bill Nye kind of picked up the torch and ran with it. He took complex scientific ideas and sort of made them relatable to kids and explained them in a way that it was easy to understand, and I think that's a big part of what got me into science growing up.
Yep. Did you were you ever a Bill Nye person?
Bill Nye, yeah, he was amazing. I think this is the only reason that I ended up learning any science I think the biggest breakthrough I had watching Bill Nye was centrifugal force, because he was basically doing donuts in a car, and I don't know who he had in the passenger seat, like a dummy, and then he opens the door and lets them out, and I think just something popped in my head.
What I think he was great. I remember it was another one of those things that you were talking about where, like Gabrielle, where it was like in vignettes. So there was like an overarching theme, but then you would have like little videos in between. And I remember this is like the only scene I really remember was they did a cover of that song Two Princes about some kind of science theme. I don't know. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah, that was the show.
I don't even know what the original Two Princes is.
Spin Doctors?
And if
okay.
you want to talk for hours, go ahead now.
That's a nice dance. Got it.
Yeah. Anyway, Bill Nye.
And his energy just he gets so excited. It was infectious. You couldn't help but love everything he was doing.
And I mean, the fact that he's still doing what he's doing, and he doesn't look like it's been 30 years or whatever.
Yeah, the man looks great.
It's almost like science is keeping him young. So maybe I should be using sunscreen, eating while exercising, and recycling.
He's found the Lazarus pit.
Okay. Or he's found a Lazarus pit. Man, these are strong. I'm enjoying this. All right, Gabrielle, what's the next one on your list?
I think my list is lacking a little bit, but Wild and Crazy Kids. So I know we said a little Wild and Crazy before, but I think this was mostly like a personal need where I never really got to go to camp and do these crazy like field games. Every time there was a field day, I lost my goddamn mind like at school. So this was basically field day on crack. And I think we were mentioning this the other day, Ben, just like also the kids were judges as well. Basically, Nickelodeon just gave power to children. They were like, you're in charge. And we were like, thank you. We'll take that and run with it. And then also just all the slime and the pies in the face was just, and again, neon colors. So
can I, would you guys permit me to show this one again? Because I just feel like this is really quintessential, like neon color 90s stuff.
Yep. It totally encapsulates the neon colors of the 90s.
This is super quintessential 90s.
You remember the host names?
Crazy Kids.
Omar Gooding.
Yeah.
Who apparently is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brother.
Yeah.
Jeff something? Jeff Foxworthy?
Donnie Jeffcoat.
Donnie Jeffcoat.
And then there were two girls. One got replaced.
Oh, what the hell is that? I don't remember her.
Oh,
it's a good game.
Oh, it wasn't Donnie Jeffcoat. He wears Jeff as a coat, so it's the wrong guy.
Oh, Wild and Crazy. Man, look at them, those colors and everything. Yeah, dude, I wanted to do some of those games so fucking bad.
Yeah.
That's
I remember one episode. One episode it took place in a mall, and like you had to like rollerblade through like the mall. It was like, what? You could do this in public? Are you kidding me?
Apparently, we were like really like we obeyed rules so much that just the idea of rollerblading in a mall.
What about the people shopping? They're gonna get in the way.
It's too destructive. Oh my god, it's extreme. Oh man, those were fun times. All right, Wild and Crazy Kids. So just to recap, we had Wishbone, we had Legends of the Hidden Temple, we had Kablam, we had Afraid of the Dark, we had Bill Nye the Science Guy, and we just had Wild and Crazy Kids. Do we even need to go on? This is all the 90s. I think I'm so full of 90s. No, let's keep going on. You guys ready for my number 3?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a random one, so let me explain it, but I'm going to do it. Gargoyles.
Yes. Okay.
So here's why. I have a list, like just so people know I'm not lying. Here's my list. There are so many. By the way, that is my actual handwriting. There are so many on here The reason I picked Gargoyles, I had a bunch that were close to this, where it was kind of like a fun, like darker cartoon. Actually, no, you know what? I just realized I'm actually not gonna have Gargoyles. I was trying to find one in the dark, kind of like more
Grim.
noir, grim. Yeah, so this Gargoyles was actually super tight, but I just thought of one that's way better. So Gargoyles, you're out. You're now in the honorable mention category. Batman the Animated Series.
You son of a bitch.
That's my number one. God damn you.
I can't believe I forgot that, because I was just thinking, oh, you know, it was kind of dark, it was kind of grim, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that Batman show was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everyone talked Batman. That thing was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Music, the guy's voice. Have you heard like apparently when they first hired that guy, like they just couldn't find a good Batman voice, and when he auditioned, like people were freaking out in the background, like all the stagehands were just like, we found Batman, it's amazing. And it's just, I don't know, he's just so effortlessly cool. And then even Batman Beyond later,
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, the animated series was the first appearance of Harley Quinn. She was just meant to be like a one-off sort of, henchman under the Joker, but the fans ended up liking her or whatever. She kind of became a recurring character, and then she just blew up from there.
So I will give a quick shout out to Gargoyles. It was a good show. It was Disney. It was a little edgy. It had what's the guy's Keith David, who's got an amazing voice.
Right.
And I remember really liking it. And when I was looking through cartoons I had forgotten about, I was like, oh yeah, that was cool. Not at all compared to Batman. Like Batman was, I remember there were some kids who lived across the street of me from me. I was in Jacksonville, Florida when it came out. And I went over to their house and we watched the first episode. And we just like sat in silence for 5 minutes afterward. Because it kind of like, like Wild and Crazy Kids, like Gab, you were saying, it empowered you. Like Batman, it was like an actual show. Like
yeah,
it was.
I mean, it's for adults, really. Like, it's not really dumbed down at all. Sorry for interrupting you, but also I'm just looking at pictures of like the animation style, the art style, I think was also just beautiful. And then super unrealistic cat eye goals, like from all the females. You're just like, what do I do now? Just shoot myself in the face. How am I supposed to look like this?
There were a lot of, I remember even thinking that like Poison Ivy, I think was one of my first crushes. I was like, she's pretty. Do you guys want to see the intro?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course we do.
All right, here we go. I'm probably breaking a bunch of copy. We're not monetizing this anyway, so I'm hoping people are okay with it.
It's less than whatever 80% of the screen or whatever the rule is.
Do you remember the music too?
Very moody, yeah. This created a good atmosphere.
Very Art Deco. The shading, it's always at night too.
Well, yeah, Gotham City is always nighttime.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the trumpet. Oh man.
I think that's the coolest Batmobile, by the way. It just looks like, okay, that's an actual car that does things. Like, notice we're all silent because we're enjoying it, right?
Like Batman's in silhouette, but so are the villains. It's like you can't. They're one and the same, right? He's kind of an anti-hero.
Also, I think even the fight choreography, they must have had actual, like, I hope they did. They had stunt guys in the background in like a warehouse somewhere. Somebody got to be Batman.
But you see, like the red sky,
the mocap suit.
Yeah, this is actually, mocap suits were invented for Batman the Animated Series. Hey, you know what else? This is where Mark Hamill was the Joker for the first time, and he's pretty much done it along with Kevin Conroy and like all the video games and pretty much everything else.
Yeah, one of my favorite Jokers.
Likewise. Oh man, I'm so glad we did this. I can't believe I forgot about that show. I probably would have put that like at number 2 if I had remembered it. Oh well.
Tom, was that your number 1?
No, but it was up there.
So Gargoyle, sorry you get knocked out. You were pretty good, but just go fuck yourself compared to Batman. Like Batman was so good.
Fucking Batman.
Fucking Batman. All right, that was my, I don't know, number 3, whatever. Tom, I have goosebumps from watching that intro.
Hi, welcome to
Yeah.